everybody. I'd like to welcome you to our Student Assignment Advisory Review Committee. I think we'll have to come up with a nice acronym for that because that's what we do in JCPS. So I'm Dina Dossett. I am the Chief of Data Management in Jefferson County Public Schools. So student assignment is one of the areas that falls within my division. So I just want to welcome you today and just say how appreciative I am of your commitment to this process. We know that this is a big commitment. We'll be spending lots and lots of time together, and this is really a very important topic for the whole community. So you can't really go anywhere in Jefferson County without having some kind of conversation around how the student assignment process works in Jefferson County, or what people's experience was it with when they were kids. So we just appreciate your commitment to this process. We also want to be, we'll probably work in the next session on maybe some norms and what that might look like for our time together. So we appreciate everybody taking the time to put their day and time. We'll kind of look through that and establish some regular meeting times, but just a couple of announcements or kind of considerations before we get started when we're talking about having conversations together. There's two big norms that we like to use. One is share the air. So we want to make sure that everybody has opportunities to talk with each other and that nobody's necessarily dominating the conversation. So we want to just make sure that we're respectful of how people interact with each other. And the other is kind of soft on people, hard on ideas. So this is going to be an important group that's going to help us think about what we want the future of choice to look like and student assignment to look like in the district. So we really want that critical conversation and kind of the pushing back on ideas, but we want to be respectful and kind to others as because we're not all going to agree on the path that we should go. And if this was easy, we would have figured this out and a long time ago. So just a couple of items to consider there. This first meeting is really going to be delving into the logistics. How does the plan work? Just to build a common understanding of how does this plan work in Jefferson County? Because we want you to come back for the second meeting. So we will tackle all of the hard stuff in meeting 2. So what I'd like to do now is introduce our acting superintendent, Dr. Marty Polis, and he's going to give a few words of welcome, and then we'll introduce everybody around the table so that we can get to know each other.
Thank you, Dina, and welcome, especially welcome to those folks outside of JCPS. We are very thankful for you being here. This is probably, well, I won't say probably, this is the most important committee that we could possibly think about having at this point. In my short time, in 4 months, clearly have realized how divisive this issue is in our community. I am a firm believer that student assignment is a local decision, a local plan that should be made, and not one that should be made outside of Jefferson County by legislators. Having said that, we are clearly in a position where being inactive is not an option for us. If we are inactive as a district and as a community and don't at least come together and evaluate the student assignment plan, take community input, do the hard work and make recommendations for future, what we feel as a committee hearing from our community is best for this district and for our entire city, then it will be done for us, probably whether it's done in February of this year or more likely the following February of 2019 when the session. So it is very important that we do the work. Now, that does not mean that we make decisions for anybody else other than what we feel is best for our community. So this is not going to be easy work, obviously. We will have differing opinions with this committee, but this is a committee that I'm going to ask. It can't be one where it's a part-time committee. It can't, so I think all those on the outside applied, all those inside, I know we have busy work schedules and things going on. It will really be difficult to do this work if it's a come and go type, like I can't make the next meeting, but I'll make the meeting. This has to be a commitment. So I think this first meeting is a great time to make that decision. Obviously, I'm in this for the long haul. Am I able to do this? Now, I know everybody has things in their lives that challenge and might have to miss at some point, but we have to have a committee that is consistent and does the work, because this will not be easy work. This will be challenging work. A big part of this committee will be having community forums. So clearly we had, I believe, 100 people apply to be on this committee. So you can imagine we would not have any other committee where we took applications, I don't think, where 100 people outside of our organization would apply to be on this committee and do this work. So that's the power and the impact and how many people are interested in this. But what we've told them is, yes, well, we've had some folks select who's best for this committee, but there will be plenty of opportunity to hear community input. So a big part of this committee will be going out, and some of the meetings will be having community input, where we get the opportunity to hear what some people say, what they ask, what they want to know, their thoughts. We'll do that in various parts of the city, all over, so that we can get a wide array of community input before coming back to here. We might bring students into the committee and talk to them, but our goal and challenge is that we get an entire perspective of this community before we make any decisions. So this is not going to be easy work at all, but I think the most important, challenging work that we could possibly do in this district to move us forward. There are many things that I like and appreciate about our student assignment plan. There are things that I look at and say, what in the world? Like, why do we do that? And well, we've done that for a long time. And so first and foremost, we got to learn it. We got to figure it out and have a real, clear understanding about currently how students are assigned to schools. Then we're going to start talking about, okay, how are we going to get out in the community? What's the plan for that? What's going to be the process? I believe this committee will be 12 to 18 months. So this is not a 4 or 5 meeting type thing where in February we will come out with some recommendations and a new student assignment plan. So I just want to be clear about the expectations here. I would guess, and it might be shorter, it might be longer, but probably the spring of 2019 is at a point where we might say we are now at the point to take something to the Board of Education. Now, that's just a guess on my part, so it could be sooner, it could be later. But I think that's what we're talking about, and so it's so important that we have consistent voice, consistent folks here doing this, and then bringing back some recommendations to our district. So really appreciate everybody's taking the opportunity to be on this, bringing your expertise, your voice to the table as we continue to move forward, and hopefully develop a plan that we will bring to our board that will last for the next decade. That's how important this work is as we move forward. So thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with you over the next 12 to 18 months.
So I'm going to spend a few minutes giving you a broad context of where we are, why now, some history, and then we're going to spend most of our time having conversations at the table, rotating through learning the plan. So save all the hard questions for at the table, right? So no, but we'll have plenty of opportunity as we go through today, that if we don't answer your question, we'll try to do that at the table, and if not, we'll make sure that we capture those and get back with you so that everybody can have a conversation, and I'm already getting a question. What is the snow and such?
I would love to do quick introductions so everybody knows.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jonathan. That was a really good.
That's meeting 2, we'll do introduction.
So, thank you. Great. So why don't we start at this table since it's close?
Hello, I'm Amanda Averett Bush. I'm the specialist in student assignment. Hi, I'm Angela Boynes. I'm a parent. I have a child that is at Johnson Traditional Middle School.
Hello, I'm Michael Newman, principal of Western High School, Early College, and Academy of Louisville.
Hello, Michael Terry, proud principal of Jacob Elementary School, the Jacob Elementary School.
I'm Michelle LaFawn. I'm kidding. In my dreams. I'm Mary Ambassador. I have a set of twins at Knoll, and I'm also the Director of Diversity Education and Inclusive Excellence at the University of Louisville.
I'm Delquan Dorsey, Community Engagement Coordinator for the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Poverty.
My name is Tia Edison. I'm a teacher at Mazik and also JCTA rep.
I'm Nick Braden. I have a student at William Elementary and another one in a few years.
I'm Cindy Kishman. I'm parent rep for District 5. I currently have students at Iroquois, Fairdale, and Aberdeen.
Wow. I'm Barbara Dempsey. I'm the Director of Student Assignment.
Hi, I'm Mike Grazer. I'm the Chief Operations Officer for JCPS.
I'm Joseph Wood, principal of Indian Trail Micro Society Elementary School.
Robert Gunn, principal of the W.E.B. Du Bois Academy.
Brent West, GIS specialist for JCPS Transportation. That stands for Geographic Information Systems.
Jennifer Adams Tucker, District 6 parent. I have kids at Manual, Mill, and more.
Glenn Beatty, assistant superintendent, academic achievement area 1.
Jonathan Lowe, Director of Strategy for JCPS and formerly Director of Student Assignment.
Tom Averly, currently principal of Highland Middle School, which is an IB magnet school, and I'll be returning to Atherton High School, which is an IB magnet high school.
Thank you, and thank you, Jonathan. So yes, feel free to, if I do something that we need to stop me, absolutely. So thank you for that. So, I think we have an excellent group of people. So, and I'm so excited about this, and we were so happy to have, 100 people applied. So, we really are excited about your commitment and your willingness to serve. So, thank you. I want to just kind of set the stage in terms of where we are with how the plan fits within our district priorities. So, we have a strategic plan, Vision 2020, and when Dr. Polio came, he really helped kind of operationalize that into 3 big areas that we are focusing on as district priorities. One is around climate and culture, one around student learning, and the third one around organizational coherence. So when thinking about how does our plan interact with those 3 priorities? So when it comes to climate and culture, we want to make sure, or we want to think about how our plan can create opportunities to learn in diverse settings from students from different backgrounds, how that would help strengthen the climate and culture of a school. We also want to think about when it comes to student learning, are we providing equitable opportunities for students across our district and varied programmatic options that meet the needs of each individual child. And then around organizational coherence, we want to think about how we maximize the efficiencies of our school facilities, our transportation, other operational resources that we have. So we're talking about, need to mention that this work isn't going to exist in isolation. So while we are working on, and our focus is on student assignment, we know that we exist within a larger society and larger context. So it will be important for us to have opportunities to reach out to other groups who are working on other issues that impact the district, such as our facilities, and we also have a board policy group working on a race and equity policy. So we know that we're going to have to make sure that we build that organizational coherence and systems where we can have conversations with those groups as we move this conversation forward. We don't want to be looking at this from a siloed perspective. We also, this is something that is critically important, is that we want to make sure that when we're building this system, that it's understandable, transparent, and easy for families. We want to make sure that that system is something that all of our families can engage in and understand and take advantage of. So we want to make sure that that is a priority as well. So why now? I don't want to use the word perfect storm. It's a perfect opportunity. So we really are taking advantage of this time. The board has asked for a review. We look at our plan every 5 to 7 years anyway and make changes. I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to implement a student assignment plan for as long as we have, because every so often we make sure that we take a deep dive, look at what's working, what's not working so well, and how we can make changes. Some technical pieces, grandfathering from the previous plan. So what does grandfathering mean? So what that means is as we implement a plan and then we make changes, we want to make sure that we provide some stability for our families so that as we make a change, that it's not quite as disruptive to our families. And so our last plan was changed in 13-14, and so this group of our elementary school students will be finishing up so that we wouldn't have to necessarily grandfather or great-grandfather from a previous plan. We also, as Dr. Polio mentioned, we know that, again, we exist in this larger context, so we have some other potential considerations that we have to think about. Charter schools. Charter schools is something that actually was passed at the last legislative session. Could be up and running by the 18-19 school year. We don't know what kind of impact that will have in our system, but we need to be thinking about that as we're designing our plan. The neighborhood schools bill, we want to make sure that we are able to have that opportunity to have those conversations locally, and so it doesn't necessarily take state action, but that's something that we can handle within Jefferson County. Align with board committees, I mentioned that we have several other committees that are working on topics that interact with student assignments, so we want to make sure that we have those conversations across committees. And then our current plan, particularly at the elementary level, well, middle and high as well, is based off of data from the census from 2010. And we know that we've had shifts in our demographics and shifts throughout our community, so we need to make sure that we are looking at the most current information when we're designing our new plan. So why are you here? What's your role? And as the advisory committee, you're that block in the middle. So you will be providing feedback, input. So the core team, there's a group of us that's going to be, this is our day job. So we're going to be heavy into this work. And we're going to be bringing you ideas for you to react to. You're going to be saying, hey, did you think about this? What if we do this? What about this? And we're going to go back and do some analysis, run some simulations, bring that back to you. So we'll be working closely together with that core team to help provide information, and then reaching out to the community. So that's the topic for the next meeting, but we want to really delve into how can we reach everybody in our community, and how can we make sure that we're engaging with people that may not normally have a voice or a seat at the table. So we're really interested to get your feedback into, so 100 applications, that's great, but how does that information get shared? And so we want to really get your ideas from that. And then this group, this advisory committee, will be studying the issue and then bringing reports to the board on a regular basis to give them, to keep them up to date about how our work is going and what decisions this might have for their role. in terms of governing. One other piece I want to make sure that I mention is this PowerPoint will go on our website so that you can have access to it. We're recording this session as well, so we want to, as part of our transparency, we want to make sure that everybody can follow along with our work. And so we'll have this posted so you don't have to necessarily see everything that's on the screen there and take notes. But I just wanted to point this out. I'm not going to go year by year from 1973 on. That would take a while. But I just wanted to bring up a couple of points. One is, this is a plan that we look at on a regular basis. So it started in 1973 when the first lawsuits were filed. 1975 is when the merger happened. But every 5 to 7 years, we have made some changes to the plan. So another point around this is, we know that this is, if you were in Louisville during this time period, at any point from 1973 on, you have some kind of history with this, whether it's personal, whether it's somebody that you know. So, for instance, my brother went to 4 elementary schools in 5 years. It was when we did the alphabet plan, and that was his school experience. We heard when the neighborhood schools bill came out, we heard stories of people that were at PRP playing baseball, and then their last year as a senior, they were bused to Shawnee. So people are very, have very strong feelings about their experience with us. And so we want to acknowledge that, but we also, part of what we hope this role of this committee is to kind of be, to some extent, myth busters. So we know we have some urban legends out there. We get calls occasionally from parents that say, my last name starts with A, where do I go to school? Okay, well, we've got a different plan now. So part of what we hope that you do through this process is become advocates and help us explain the current plan to people. So real quickly, and then we'll break up into groups, just a high level of how the plan works. And then we have tables where we're going to discuss elementary plan in more detail, middle and high plan, and then kind of a by the numbers table where you'll get more information about what do our students look like in Jefferson County, and where do they live and where do they go to school, that kind of information. So at the elementary level, we're organized in terms of clusters. There's a map behind you there. We have 13 different clusters, and as a kindergartner, when you apply to a school within your cluster. You rank order from your first choice to your last choice, all of the schools in your cluster. So some clusters have 5 schools in them, some have as many as 8. So those are your cluster choices. In addition to that, at the elementary level, you're able to apply to 2 magnet programs. So all of our kindergartners, they do application to school. So it's not the case that we just necessarily assign students who don't put in an application. We work with each family so that they have a choice in that process. And now there's, special situations that, I'm sure we'll cover at the table. But it's a single application. You fill out your cluster choices and then your magnet choices. At middle and high, it looks a little bit different. Those maps are up there as well. You are automatically assigned to a school based on the address that that you live that serves that school. So you don't have to do anything to automatically go to the school that serves your address at middle school and high school, but you can apply, again, similar to elementary. You can put up to 2 choices for your middle school or high school magnet or network program. So with that, we're going to do some small groups at your table, and then we'll rotate. So we're going to take about 10 minutes to work through the logistics of the plan, so that and again, this first meeting is just to kind of build a common understanding and to get your questions answered so that we can delve into the heavy stuff of why do we do this, what's important about this plan, and how do we get community engagement at the next meeting. So with that, I'm going to start the clock.
You the expert here?
I'm gonna try.
All right.
There we go. Okay. So next steps for our time together. So we want to. I hope that everybody got their questions answered. I was walking around, heard some good conversation. So I hope at least this helped build a common understanding of how our plan works. I'm going to hand out a few handouts that we want to get your opinion on what worked well today, what didn't work so well, what would you like to see in future meetings, and what questions do you still have. So we'll make sure to collect those questions, get them answered, get them posted, so that we can make sure that when we meet again, we're all on the same page. So in terms of meeting again, it looks like it's pretty split between Monday and Thursday, and split in terms of time. We have about 8 people that didn't come, weren't able to make it today, so we'll reach back out to them and get their times and days that will work for them, and then we'll get back with you on that. So thanks for making it easy for us and having consensus there. But this is all part of the process. This is what it's going to be like.
With that though, so many people put that 2 to 3:30. I can't do that.
And that's hard for parents. Yes, absolutely.
So I'm just,
Yeah. So
there wasn't really anywhere to say that. That's just not possible for me. I could scoot out for 3 o'clock once a month probably, but.
Gotcha. So I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. So when we have parents on the committee and teachers even, it's difficult, and principals, it's difficult to get out of the building in the middle of the day. We're talking once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah. So we'll do some more thinking on that before we set our next date. So you have on your table some time to look at reflections, what worked well, what didn't. We'd like to get your feedback on that. And then our next meeting, we're going to delve into our guiding principles, which is how we built our plan, what are our values, do we need to make any changes to that, what would that look like, kind of assess how we are implementing our plan in relation to those values, and then also spend some time talking about how we reach our community, how we engage families, especially families that may not have been engaged in this process before. So how can we make sure that everybody has a voice? So any other questions in terms of things that you just feel like you can't leave the room without sharing? Yeah, the next question is everybody coming back? Hopefully, if you have any concerns that you want to address privately or confidentially, we'll stick around for, Barbara and I will stick around for a little bit so that we can have those one-on-one conversations as well. So again, I want to thank you for your time. As Dr. Polio mentioned, this is probably the most important committee and work that will be done next year. So